my beautiful soul. How are you? How are you feeling? How is your heart? How is your body? How is your mental state? Just like, how are you in general? If you take this moment, just be like, how am I? Where am I? It has been, I know for a lot of people, really, really intense period. A lot of emotional stuff coming up, old wounds coming up, body things coming up. And this is really the lunar eclipse is what sort of brings this up. This is what the eclipses do, my loves. They bring up stuff in order for us to see it, in order for us to make choices, and in order to bring us back into alignment. Not necessarily easy nor pleasant at all in that process and in that moment. And lunar eclipses, eclipses in general, not just the lunar, they have a 6-month cycle. So sometimes we might not even see the results or the reasoning or understand it for months afterwards, while we're going through it. It just might not make sense at all. And there's definitely an element of having compassion and grace for yourself as we navigate this. And this really is an intense one, my loves. I know they all feel really intense, but a lot of people will probably say, and this will be one of our most intense full moons of this year. And this is because we have the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Scorpio is known for its intensity. It is also the fact that this will be the last lunar eclipse we have in Scorpio until 2031. So really the Scorpio energy, and if you think the nodes are almost shifting out of Scorpio, it's like we're being given the opportunity to really delve in and release what needs to be released. So lunar eclipse, if we take a step back, it's an opposition. So it's when the moon is opposite the sun. So it's very much about the polarities. It's about relationships. It's about where are your needs not being met in relationships, but also it could be where you aren't having your needs met by yourself. So it's not just someone else meeting your needs, but how are you actually verbalizing those needs, those wants, those desires in order for someone to meet that, or recognizing that they can't. So there's that element of that. A lunar eclipse is also very much about what needs to be let go of, my loves. It might not necessarily be easy at all, but it brings up stuff. It almost has a climax to it. It's like this needs to, if you've been ignoring something or pretending that it might just disappear or anything like that, a lunar eclipse will be like, nope, we need to deal with this, and almost force an action to happen, which is unpleasant, and we really don't want to be in a situation like that, but sometimes it is. And that's just what we have to deal with. So having that awareness of it. If we look at the aspects of this lunar eclipse, it's also quite intense, but beautiful, is that we have the moon in Scorpio, and they're opposite the sun, which is in Taurus, but it's also opposite Uranus, which is conjunct the sun. And we also have Mercury, which, depending how many orbs you take from a more technical perspective, Mercury retrograde can also be in this mix. So if you look at it, Uranus, anytime it's in something, is that wild card. It's the unknown. It's the one that's like, well, let's just shake this up. Let's change things. It's about change. But it's not change for necessarily the sake of change. It's an evolutionary change. Uranus comes to shake things up. So you have this opposition here with a planet that's about shifting, making change, conjuncting into sun, our vitality, opposite the moon in Scorpio, which is about your emotions and your depths, transformation, really digging deep into that shadow work. And Mercury in retrograde, which is about going into the inward journey, your intuition, coming back home and reevaluating. So you have this swirling mix of I almost want to say a combustion thing, just it feels like it's a perfect combination to allow things to explode. That's the word that pops up. But an explosion doesn't have to be negative, my love. An explosion can be a firework, which is beautiful. So, so it doesn't have to be this, oh, it could be this thing that explodes and there's this beautiful firework, this beautiful moment of clarity, this like, wow. Or, it could be an explosion that shakes and like things up and you have to like be like, oh, good gracious, what happened here? We have to pick up these pieces. It can go either way in any space, and it all naturally also depends on where this is happening in your chart, where you are in your soul journey. We also have Venus, the planet of relationships, the planet of beauty, of our sense of value, of our sense of worth, squaring Neptune. Neptune is the higher consciousness. Neptune is also where potentially the fantasies, like our illusions of things, like where we pretend things aren't happening, But when you can move past that, Neptune illuminates and brings you into that higher state of unity consciousness, tapping into that potential divinity. So there's really a beautiful gift here, but a square, the same as the opposition, it's a tension, my loves. There is something needs to shift, something needs to be changed, something needs to break in order for us to come together. And so it can feel like there's just this heightened emotions for both the collective within yourself, so having deep compassion for self, compassion for others, realizing that emotions are going to be extremely heightened for this week as well as for a few days afterwards. It really is that sort of space. We're all dealing with this on a collective energy, and some of us are having a deep impact on a personal level and that sort of thing. And so just having that awareness. And with that as well, the lunar eclipses for me, and especially this one, is they might feel like we need to fix it now, but it needs to happen. So it feels like the explosion needs to happen. You need to surrender into what is happening, not being a passive surrendering. There's an active surrendering of recognizing you have choice. You have a power in your voice, how you use that voice, what your actions are, your thoughts are, really taking that almost internal awareness, remembering the Mercury is in retrograde. So being the observer in almost an active surrendering of, okay, this is all going to unfold as it needs to unfold. I trust in that. I don't need to fix that right now, but I can fix. The word fix is potentially incorrect, but I can be in charge of how I'm going to choose to respond to this. I have choice in that. I have choice in recognizing where I need to take accountability in this space. I have choice in recognizing where am I being the scapegoat for others, which I don't have to be. So you recognize, so there's always there's a thing of if a situation is going to unfold, is allowing it to unfold and recognizing that, once Mercury goes direct from the 15th and we have this 6-month window, you'll be rebuilding and being able to change things and do the steps and that sort of thing. So it's not about just rushing into it now. But from this period of time now, you do have choice on how you choose to respond. There's great tools that you can utilize. Like, my favorite is the breath. Just taking a moment to take a deep inhale, counting for 4, exhaling for 4. Just doing that for a minute will bring you back into a space of centering. Journaling. If you're really angry and frustrated, scream into a pillow or throw a little dance party to shake your body and allow the energy to move. Do what you need to, but listen to your body and don't project into others. Be very cautious of that. Recognize where others are projecting stuff onto you that's not yours, and take responsibility if you have this habit of projecting, making other people responsible for your emotions, making other people responsible for how you've chosen to respond in that. And that's That's not helpful and that doesn't serve you in the long run, my loves. So there's this opportunity of recognizing this is deeply intense. There is a gift in this. There is the gift of transformation. And there's the gift in you allowing yourself to recognize what's being triggered, recognize where can you come from a calm place. It's not to say you can't have really tough conversations or state your boundaries, but there is a way of doing it. There's a way of honoring yourself as well as honoring others and recognizing that we're all on different parts of our journey. So yeah, so that's sort of what I just wanted to pop in, and I really just wanted to give you a giant hug and be like, if it feels like it's really a lot, my loves, and perhaps it feels like it's too much for you to even handle on your own, please feel free to reach out for help. Not necessarily to myself, but like within your support system, and that allow yourself to be held if that's what needed. But really just be really compassionate and have grace with self. The same way as you would with a little child who is potentially struggling, throwing a tantrum, you would create space for those emotions to move through. You would hold them gently, you would love them. And I feel this is sort of the energy to have with yourself. And then see how everything unfolds. I mean, my wish would be that the explosion is for all of us as beautiful fireworks, and it probably will be when you look back and you go, oh, well, actually, that was a beautiful gift. Maybe in the moment it didn't feel like it, but there was sort of this brilliance, you know, and we can always have that hope, and we can always look for the magic in the fireworks. So sending you so much love, my beautifuls, and honoring you, honoring your space, honoring your journey. And yeah, you've got this. We've all got this. We're all in this together and we're all walking each other home. Bye, my loves.